So, who are you and what do you do?
Cool. My name is Anthony D'Angelo, and I have a YouTube channel. I study digital media at the University of Southern California, and I've been on YouTube since 2007. I'm really interested in the ways that the ecology of online media has sort of grown and developed. When I started, it was very, very small. No one was really making money, and now clearly it's a whole industry. So, tracking that change and communicating about it, and telling people how to understand the changes as they apply to how they engage with these platforms. That's sort of what I'm interested in, is communicating about what's happening.
Yeah, so I would ask you how you got involved in YouTube, but I think at this point, because you've been doing it for 7 years, I think it's somewhat more important to ask why you're still into this YouTube, or what's important that keeps you kind of in the environment.
Sure. I mean, all of the things that have been well articulated over the years about YouTube being revolutionary and different and open and accessible. These really are. I look at YouTube and I look at the rise of digital media as like really transformative for culture. People, just the system is much more open than traditional media, and having worked a little bit in traditional media, I don't know, they're not the same spaces, like, by any means, and I like that YouTube is like for everyone, and I think that's driving a lot of change. The fact that it can be for everyone and still rub up against traditional industry in a real way that gets people in traditional media industries a little uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. That is really satisfying to be able to do that. Yeah. To a well-established medium. So there's sort of a punk rock element to it. There's sort of an egalitarian element to it. It's something that politically I'm kind of interested in.
So, for whatever reason, whenever I see you, like you specifically, I think of the term digital native, but I feel like that's not good enough, because by virtue of you studying it as a thing, I feel like that kind of takes you to another level. So when you think of YouTube, you think of it in somewhat different terms than everyone else, or maybe just more thoroughly. And so my challenge, I guess, is what is something that you think maybe people don't normally think about YouTube, but they should?
That's a good question. The challenge is that there's a lot of things that people aren't aware of. They're not aware of the industry and how it's come to be, and how the decisions that the industry makes affect the space. They don't know the history of YouTube itself, and why is it YouTube and not something like Dailymotion, right, that took over. There are answers to these questions that have to do with technology, material, systems, right? So I think that the history of it is something that is probably could use a little more appreciation. And I guess just the idea that it is a system, an information system. YouTube is a technology, it's a tool. You can talk a lot. I can talk a lot about how YouTube has changed over the years, but essentially, the ability to upload and host a video has not changed, and you can still make and do whatever you want within the material constraints that you have, right? So yeah, I don't know if that answers the question.
Yeah.
But I think that history and economics are important to YouTube in ways that don't always get appreciated.
Cool. So since Go Verb Now kind of has an educational angle to it, what are your thoughts on YouTube as an educational tool?
Oh, well, I were you at the sorry to ask the question back, but yeah. Were you at the panel Transforming Education on YouTube?
No.
So it was Crash Course, it was Khan Academy, it was a bunch of other people, like Oregon State University, I think, was there. There was a phrase that came up, which is that the conversation started out with some teachers, some people in education are afraid that YouTube and technology are going to replace their jobs, but all the people on stage were like, no, that can't happen, because a teacher is something more. You start a conversation. Something like a Crash Course or a SciShow is more like a textbook than a teacher. So you can play that in class and then sort of go along with it. And another thing that they said was that the kids who watch that educational content, that you can see, you can look at all the kids in your class by like grade ranking, and the kids who are doing the best, who have the A's and B's, don't watch the content as much because they're paying attention in class, so they don't need to access that content. But for people who are self-motivated learners who might not be super comfortable in like a classroom setting, that doesn't quite work for them, it becomes much easier if they can take the initiative and find the information themselves. So I think that the nature of search gives you this benefit of the people who find your content are already looking for it, which is cool, because I think that lets them connect with it on a deeper level. And when they get to feel like they're participating in the conversation, that also changes it like a lot, I think, because classrooms are a very like industrial revolution type factory model. That doesn't always account for individual learning types and preferences and skills. I think that it's just a much more open system to let people learn what they want, how they want, and for people who have things to say that people should know to get information out there and disseminate it without any barriers. So that's what excites me about using the platform to like talk about the things that I want to talk about, is that there's nothing stopping me, really. There's no restraint aside from what I put on myself. So that's cool.
Awesome. Oh, well, we're coming up to 7 minutes. So, do you have a sign off for your channels that you
sign off? I don't really have a sign off. I don't think so. No. Should I sign off though? I should.
Yeah, might as well.
All right. Well,
Final words.
My Twitter 5 words.
Final words.
Oh, final words. Okay. Who? Well, my name's Anthony D'Angelo. My Twitter handle is @coolwebfriend, and I would love to talk about digital media with you. So please come join the conversation.
Yeah.